All right, we're live. Welcome to Josh and Aaron Talk About Stuff. I'm your host, Josh, along with my buddy.
I remain Aaron.
Yeah, welcome to the season 3 premiere. I know it's been a couple weeks, but thanks for waiting on us. But today we have two special guests. One guest I invited, the other one weaseled his way in. I don't know how that happened. But my boy Mike Caddy with the hat on, if you're watching YouTube, and my other friend Jay, who I've known both of them 20 plus years. Welcome to the show, guys. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks. I was the one invited on, for the record.
Yeah, I'm about to drop the C word and bite myself into the waiting room.
All right,
Jay's the weasel.
Jay. Calm down, Jay. You weaseled your way in, but I'm glad that you're here. I think this is cool. So, all right, guys. So what we're doing this season is we're going to be kind of talking about like some current social events, have you, and the two topics that we're going to be talking about today are sports topics, and I know that you guys are real big sports guys, so I thought it would be cool to bring you guys on. On the other hand, I'm kind of like, I'm indifferent. I think my buddy Aaron, he likes sports, but you guys are like, if sports ended today, you guys would be in a world of hurt, wouldn't you?
Yeah, not sure what I would do, quite honestly.
Okay, so all right, let's get started. So the first topic, I'll introduce it, and then we can just do like a round robin kind of deal. All right, so the first topic I want to talk about is something that Aaron and I actually spoke about in our pilot season, and we're going to talk about college players now are allowed to make money off their name, image, and likeness. When we first talked about it, the Supreme Court had not ruled on it yet, but now they have. And so I guess we'll start with you, Caddy. How do you feel about that?
I think I'd go first.
Because he's a guest, man. We got to treat him with
respect. I'm the invited guest.
He's the invited guest.
Oh, no, I get it now. Okay.
Okay, go ahead, buddy.
I mean, I'm not a fan. I think slippery slope is the key word there. I'm okay with, these guys getting enough food, enough money to pay for food and all that good stuff, even though they're getting food for free if they're a scholarship athlete. But, giving these guys millions of dollars, and it's just going to get out of control. We've opened Pandora's box here, so I don't know how we close it.
Okay. Jay Bird.
That's ridiculous. This is America. You make as much money as you can make.
Yeah.
Make as much money as you can make. I mean,
The thing of it is, they're not getting paid by their college. Is the thing.
Say again?
I said they're not getting paid by their college. They're getting paid to be themselves, and that's not, we wouldn't take that away from anybody else. And so, I mean, I see what Caddy's getting at in terms of it being like a, where do we close the box at? And already I can see it getting out of hand in some of these cases, like this kid from Ohio State that bagged his last year at his high school so he could go up to Ohio State and start making money, but he's not getting paid by Ohio State. Ohio State's giving him his scholarship. They're getting money from secondary companies that are paying them from their likeness. God knows if somebody decided I was the coolest teacher in the history of the world and they wanted to pay me to put my face on teacher O's, then and pay me a sponsorship, I should be able to get it, right? And I kind of see this that same way. They're not getting paid from the college. They're getting paid secondary.
I think we ought to pay Mike in tins of Vienna sausages for 6 months and see what he thinks about it. I mean, we're giving him food. Thanks a lot. Those millions of dollars that I could have made, but you told me I couldn't. That's all right.
Then go somewhere else. Nobody's forcing these kids to go to college and play football. At the end of the day, they all want to make it to the NFL. Let's just use football as an example. And their best way is to go play at Clemson or Alabama.
Right, absolutely.
Cool. So that's their avenue. They're all getting a free ride there. Most of them aren't going to make it. They all think they are. So, if no one's forcing you to go to Alabama to play football, go get a real job then.
Well, but they don't have to. They can get paid to play football. That's the thing. This is America, and they can get paid to do something. Nobody should be able to tell them they can't. I mean, this is one of the only instances in America where it was sanctioned that you could not get paid to do something. That's ludicrous. If there's a market for it, that's capitalism. If there's a market for it and they can earn money doing it, then nobody should be able to tell them they can't.
All right, I guess I'll go. And by the way, guys, Jay and Caddy, they love each other, even though.
Yeah. That's
So we're all. I love the different perspectives because, like, my personal opinion is, I think college sports and college should just be separate entities. It's different in different sports. Like one and dones in basketball, I think, are like it's a wasted thing. But at least in football,
thing.
Say what?
That's a whole nother issue.
Oh
right
yeah,
there.
but at least in football, you got to go for 3 years because you got to be
Right.
prepared to go to the NFL. Because if a guy like the high school kid from Texas going to Ohio State, if he started the NFL his first year, like right now, he'd get crushed, right? So there is something to be said of staying in college, whatever. I don't know, like it is like a slip. Go
Hey,
ahead.
Josh, to your point. So sorry, I'm getting this podcast thing done. I don't want to step on your answer there, but
Oh no. I welcome. Yeah, it's fine.
So you look at English football, right? Every county in England has their own little local team.
Right.
That's sort of the equivalent in America to college sports. That's how you sort of get the lower level competition and the local feel to the leagues and whatnot. And it's just this weird sort of coincidence that the way that developed in America was not every little county having their team, but every college having sports. And it's just an idiosyncratic a part of the American sports system. But to your point, it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
The one and done kids aren't going to go to college. It's just a coincidence that the team is associated with the school. So maybe that is the answer, right? Maybe that's how this will evolve is college sports sort of goes away and local sports teams at a more local level become the sort of paradigm that American sports sort of operate.
Yeah, I mean, like other than football, like basketball and baseball, I mean, they have basically a minor league system. Baseball for sure, but like there's the D League and the NBA, so maybe they need to funnel the young talent, 17, 18-year-olds into that. I've just like the old school thinking, like you're being given a college education for free, provided through by scholarships. In my mind, I always thought that was compensation enough. But I understand your point that like there's billions of dollars going into, and a lot of it's getting funneled to the top, the very, very, very top.
Therein lies the issue.
And then like, yeah, we pay for uniforms, your shoes, these facilities, they cost. But like, I'm okay with a college athlete getting paid. I just think the two entities should just be separate from that. They don't even need to be associated. And like, so that's where I am. But to Caddy's point, like, I think we spoke earlier off camera. We're eventually going to be like marketing to little 12-year-olds. That's weird. You know what I mean? Like,
but we already are. We already are.
But we're not offering them $1 million.
Right. I mean, like, can you?
And we will be. You just wait.
Well,
it's just like the whole like scouting. Like scouting. Like you've seen the show Little Giants, the movie Little Giants back in the day when the dude's like, I massage his hamstrings with buttermilk. We're gonna be doing all these weird things to these kids, and we're gonna be like, they're not ready for that mentally. Nobody's ready for that kind of exposure of money mentally at 12 years old or whatever.
I don't think anybody's not ready for $1 million. I think anybody's ready for $1 million.
There's a lot of there's a lot of social pressures, especially like you're going to be groomed now from like 4 years old to be like the greatest. And if you're not, you're just going to get thrown away. Right. Anyway. Yeah. Anybody, I guess, anybody want to do another Caddy?
The NCAA is like,
it makes me laugh because Mike has been grooming his kid since he's 4 years old. Now he's
Listen, if somebody wants to offer my kid $1 million at 8, sure, we're taking it. Doesn't mean I think it's a good idea. Doesn't mean I think it's a good idea. There's a difference.
Like nobody's going to turn down the money, and that's fine. But like
my biggest problem is that over the last 5 years or however recently this has been a big topic is that everyone plays these athletes are getting taken advantage of, and I just think that's BS. I mean, yes, some of them are Trevor Lawrence or pick your big name athletes really are worth millions of dollars to these schools, but most of them are just another kid coming through. And what's a scholarship to Alabama? I mean, 30 grand a year. I don't even know what it is. So you're talking 100, 200 grand you're getting to be there for 4 years. That's pretty good compensation for an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah, but if you could get more, then you ought to be able to. This is America.
I don't know.
I guess what I come back to is the fact that they're not getting paid by the college. They're not being paid by the college. The college is providing them. The college is providing them just what the colleges have always been providing, and that is room, board, education for those that will take it seriously. Justin Herbert from U of O took it seriously. Kid graduated like high up there. Now he's playing for the Chargers. But the fact is, could Justin have made, like when Justin was at U of O, could he have made money by putting his likeness to some local Oregon business? God, yes.
Right.
There have been places that would have paid him bucket loads.
Do you think
why
Sure,
shouldn't he be? But and I guess my question is, why shouldn't he be allowed to do that? Because anybody, any of us would be allowed to put our face on something as a sponsor if we had some marketable. If our face was super marketable, let's face it, I'm not. But let's say I had a marketable face. I didn't have a face for radio, but instead a face for television. And should I not be able to make money off of my own likeness? And I think that's really what it goes back to in the long run. We're not saying these kids should be getting paid from the university. I would never contend that the university should pay these kids money. Forget that. No. The university doesn't pay the kids. The university gives them an education and a room and a board. All this is said is that, you are allowed as an individual to make money off of your individuality.
Right.
And that to me is fair.
Do you guys
now
think
Justin Herbert? I mean, just to mention Justin Herbert,
Yeah.
for example, and yes, he would have made millions in Oregon, if he could have. But kids like him, they're gonna make their money because he's obviously good enough.
Yeah.
He's gonna get the ones that are good enough are gonna get their money.
What about the
And we're
ones
just
that
gonna
aren't maybe
end
good enough? What about the ones that aren't maybe good enough to go to the next level? But so for instance, one of the big buy-ins on this apparently were these.
Jay, I guess, got logged off, and then he's coming back in. He's good. All right, we're good, guys. Go
I
ahead.
figured Josh kicked him off.
Nah, all of a sudden his face froze, which that happened before.
Some of these kids, they might not go pro, but for one reason or another, they have some big Instagram following, and that is the case for some of them. And previously, they couldn't take that big Instagram following and they couldn't convert it monetarily for themselves because of NCAA rules. Now they can.
Right. Do you think? I got a question.
I just don't see a problem with that in the long run.
Do you think there'll be a backlash that universities are going to stop handing out scholarships if a person is going to come into their college with already being able to make money off their likeness because of prospective talent? You think something like that's going to happen?
If it did, is it a bad thing? I mean, that is.
No, I was just wondering
if the private sector subsidizing their college education. I don't think there's anything wrong. Oh, that's good for the taxpayer, good for everybody.
Right. I don't know if is there a negative to that? I don't know. I mean, obviously, some of them might be able to make money, so a scholarship would be good if they're good enough. But maybe the college can save money because a kid will be coming in and making money, and they don't have to shell out a scholarship. Go ahead, Kat.
Yeah, that pocket change you were going to give me before.
Right.
just hold on to that. Give that to somebody. Give that to the kicker.
Right.
But at this point, and you said it, I think, Josh, earlier, I mean, college athletics isn't really, amateur anymore. Let's just go ahead and make it separate then, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? Because these kids don't care about school. Now they're going and making millions of dollars. So you're not an amateur athlete. I mean, you're a professional athlete.
Yeah, the other thing I thought, the high school kid from Texas who might forego his senior year.
He did.
Is that is that because of fear of being injured? So he wants
it's because in Texas, high school athletes are not allowed to make money on their likeness. So he already had people approaching him for sponsorship deals, and Texas high school was like, you can't play high school football and collect this endorsement. And he was like, okay, fine, then I'll leave.
I got you. I was just thinking if he's gonna, if it had been for, I want to make my money and I got to be able to play, I don't want to hurt myself. But that could be a scenario. I'm going to forego my senior year to make it to, based on prospective talent. But anyway.
But then there's guys already doing that now, sitting out bowl games or whatever it is because they know they're going to be a top pick. But at least at that point, you've done something. I mean, this kid in high school
does nothing.
He's the number one recruit in high school. Way to go. Look at the list of number one high school recruits. How many of them are great pro players? Not that many.
Right.
But in the context of what goes on in the world today, look at how people make money. I mean, Jesus, how much is Josh getting paid to do this podcast? $100,000 a year? 150? Just for your
per episode, I heard.
It's $225.
But you get my point, right? I mean, people are making money on Instagram, and people are making
But
money all kind of ways.
How do you make money off Instagram though?
Sponsorships and ad deals and the whole
But
nine yards.
But doesn't it have to be a
Mike, don't you do that? Mike, don't you do that OnlyFans thing? How do you make money off that? How much do you make off of that?
They paid me to stop.
They're like, dear God, no.
But
isn't that a problem too? Now we got, the youth of America, everybody just wants to be an Instagram model or an Instagram whatever you want to call it. And everyone thinks that's their job. Right. And so, I don't have to go to school. I'm going to be a professional, Instagram person.
All right.
But I agree, that's crazy. That is crazy.
But that's what it is. Right. I mean, that's where we're going, right?
But that's actually, if you're good enough, it is there. No, go ahead, Zach. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, it's just like, we're talking about these football. If you're good enough at 12 years old, hey, you might get paid. Most 12-year-olds aren't going to make it to the NFL. It just doesn't matter how good you are. So it's.
But I guess that's not really their problem, is it?
But the weird
Instagram as early as possible.
The weird Instagram rules, though, are, I think, part of what actually spurred this on with the Supreme Court ruling, because I know that before it all dropped, there was a young woman who I think she was at Purdue, and she was I don't know, I think she was a volleyball player. She's not gonna go pro to play volleyball. She's not. Realistically, because I mean, they have pro volleyball leagues in Europe, but I mean, realistically, she's not going to go pro playing volleyball. But she had,
we got a
for
little
one reason or another, she had.
We're good. We got lag.
So for one reason or another, she had like millions of Instagram followers, and was pocketing. She was set up to pocket like, I don't know, $100,000, $200,000 a year, and the NCAA said, nope, you can't do it.
Yeah.
Why not? What does that hurt?
I think I'm convinced. Let him get paid.
And those are the ones. Like I totally agree with Caddy that like some of these things are like, some of them I've read a couple of them already. It's like, wow, we're going too far already. But at the same time, I just don't see how we can tell some young person that, I'm sorry, I know you're not going to go pro as a volleyball player, and I know that you're going to be here for 4 years, and I know you got this massive Instagram following that you can turn into $125,000, $200,000 a year pocket change, but you can't, because the NCAA says no. Because the NCAA is the most crooked organization in the world outside of the IOC.
That's the other part of it, is that it's so ironic for the NCAA to lecture anybody about how they can or can't make money when they're absolutely Scrooge McDucking it.
Right? Seriously,
it just doesn't make any sense.
They're so corrupt.
Jay made a good point.
NCAA is so broken.
Jay made a good point bringing up the market. If there's too much of a backlash, the market will correct itself anyway, either through it just getting split completely off to its own entity, or they're going to realize we're giving a lot of kids money who've done nothing, and they're not providing anything for us. Their sales are coming down. They're going to actually maybe make kids actually do something before they make money. Which maybe spend a year in college doing something before you actually get paid. Like prove that you have something to back up, because I can just see it like somebody getting paid money as a high school senior, and then they get a lot of money dumped on them, and then they tank. And then the investors are like, we just wasted all this money. Anyway,
they Johnny Manziel that bad boy.
Sure.
Any final words before we move on to the next topic, boys?
Yeah, well, let me. And sorry if you're about to move on, but I do want to say one additional thing. I don't think it's good for college sports. I don't think it's good for competition in college sports.
Right.
I just support the people's right to make money the way they can make money.
I think I'm with Jay. I think that's really, I'm with Jay on it. That's kind of where it is. I don't know that it's necessarily the best thing for the sports. In fact, I can tell it's not. But I don't see how we can take it away from these kids. It's not fair.
Yeah.
And selfishly, that's where I'm coming from. I love college sports,
and that's why I said
too. Oh, believe me, I do too.
Yeah. I'm all for capitalism, but yeah, it's
that makes sense.
Horrendous thing for college sports.
I'm with you. I mean, like,
correct. Yeah. Once you've messed up the Rose Bowl, now I got a problem.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like I'll watch every Ducks football and basketball game I can this year, and so I'm with you. But it's
Yeah, get it while you can this year, boys, because it's going to be forever changed, right?
Yeah.
All right, that was a really good discussion. All
That
right.
was lively.
Well, I love
discussion.
hearing different opinions, and if I
No,
don't
you
know if
don't.
Jay was truthful or if he just wanted to be the antithesis to Caddy. I don't know yet. I'm kidding, man. I know you're being truthful. I appreciate your perspective, and you too, and everybody else. All right, so the next topic we're going to talk about is revolving around the Olympics. Did you guys watch the Olympics?
The other crooked organization.
Yeah, I know
in
the
sport.
IOC, maybe more crooked than the NCAA.
Oh,
anyway,
far more crooked.
Jay, have you watched any of the Olympics this year?
I very little.
I have not.
Very little. When I was a kid, it was something you got excited about. It was summertime, staying up late.
Mm-hmm.
I loved women's gymnastics when I was a kid. You know, the Carrie Strug year stood out in my memory as like that was peak Olympics for me. I love the swimming. You know, I love Carl Lewis. It's not the same, and it's probably the difference between watching it as a kid and watching it as an adult. None of it seems special to me.
Part of it's their coverage has been just atrocious, though. Like it's been like the coverage has been just abominable. Like I don't even understand I don't know why either. I just like
Caddy, have you watched any?
Oh, I'm a sucker for all of it.
Oh boy.
now, as Jay said, so I am my 8-year-old son. You know, he'll watch anything. So he's watching handball, water polo, you name it. We're into it. So
have they done the track and field stuff yet, or is that upcoming?
It started.
Yeah.
Okay, so the one thing that you won't see is Sha'Carri Richardson running. So that's what we're going to talk about next. So she, I guess in qualifying or whatever before the Olympics started, Sha'Carri Richardson tested positive for marijuana use, and she was banned for 30 days, but she could have come back if I guess she wanted to, but she didn't. And I just wanted to know what you guys thought of her getting banned, all aspects of it, whether it was right or not, or one of the you got to follow the rules kind of whatever. So we'll start with Caddy this time. No, we started with him last time. Start with Jay this time. Go ahead, Jay.
Thank you. Yes, thanks.
Sorry, bro.
I mean, not popping on a piss test is part of the competition. Get you banned from the game. You can't do it, and if you do it and you get caught, you know the rules. I'm very pro marijuana, but the rules are the rules, man. I mean, you got to know that, and she seemed like in her response to it, it just seemed like she didn't want to be subject to the rules, and the IOC felt differently. So I don't necessarily think marijuana is a performance enhancing drug. I heard an interesting argument that, because now it's not like she's out there smoking a doobie necessarily. She could take a gummy or something that doesn't affect her lungs, and it could help her train better, longer. Maybe not. Maybe not. But to me, it really just boils down to, it's like anything else. You can't false start. You can't knock over a hurdle. You can't. There's certain things you can't do that govern the game, and one of them is you can't pop on a piss test. And she did, so she's out. It's sucks, but it's how it is.
We got two
minutes with him.
Jay.
They need to change the rules. You said you can't knock over a hurdle. You can now.
Oh, okay.
Because they said you can knock one over. I mean, it doesn't help you, but if you want to run straight through those hurdles, go for it. Nobody's stopping you.
That's funny.
I've been 100% with Jay, though. I mean, he's like, that's exactly what it comes down to. Like, it's a stupid rule. It's a stupid rule. But it's the rule. And that's what it comes down to.
That's all Aaron has to say about that.
Yeah.
I reckon I'm done. I got nothing.
Go ahead,
That's
Caddy.
all I have to say about that.
Go ahead.
No,
I'm supposed to hear quiet like now.
I hate to say it, I'm just agreeing with him. Yeah, I mean, they didn't invent this rule, last week. So she knew the rule. Yeah, it's dumb. Who cares? If somebody went out there and shotgunned a beer before the race, they wouldn't care. So what's
well, that's my thing is like, one, alcohol is far more harmful to you than marijuana, but they allow people to drink and there's no consequences just because
the Australians were wrecked apparently.
Right, but I'm saying, and they don't get banned, but like the thing is that the substance in marijuana stays in your system. That doesn't mean you're high the whole time, right?
If only.
Right. So I'm saying, like,
could wish.
Now, yes, I love hearing the rules are rules from two guys I went to college with. We broke every rule known to man.
Well, listen, and I was subject to those rules many times.
I just think it's funny. Rules are rules. To the dude, we broke every rule Possibly.
Well,
Oh,
don't get caught. She's got to be better at not getting caught.
that's true.
There you go.
I just think like
Uh,
some of this stuff is very antiquated, and we have to move into modern times. If we're gonna penalize someone for something that she did in the United States that was legal in the state that she lives in,
Not only that, she was in Oregon, man.
right where you
don't-
are, so
it's
she was
not
allowed to
legal
do
here,
it
it's
where she
handed
lives.
out. We're like, here you go, and here's
Um,
yours. Here's yours. Here's your supply list for the 9th grade, and
And
here's your
most of
baggie.
the
I mean,
people that I've talked to are of the frame of mind. She knew it was a rule going into it, and she broke it. And I'm just like, it just seems like, I don't think she was targeted. It just seems like people can rewrite rules at any point. We don't need to have a special committee to meet next year to decide. Like, come on, man, it doesn't enhance her performance, right? If anything, it would hurt it.
I don't think it would necessarily
Reaction
hurt it.
time or whatever.
I think there is a scenario where you could say it could help it. I mean, you can eat a
During
gummy
the competition? I mean,
they prescribe medical marijuana for pain. If it raised her threshold for pain tolerance, and she's that's part of
right,
what
but
she has, the wall she has to break through, then
wouldn't you have to have that
argument.
prescribed at the time? Like, you can't just have medical marijuana and take it in the competition. Doesn't the doctor kind of has to be like monitoring that if you're there, kind of thing? I don't know. If it was a thing.
Yeah, maybe I wasn't clear what I was saying.
Right.
So the concept of medical marijuana is prescribed for pain management.
Right.
If you're taking something that helps you sustain through pain, and pain is part of the obstacle that you have to overcome to be good at your sport, whether it's endurance, whether it's just the burst of energy, whatever, if there's a
shot.
pain aspect that you get through, then maybe that is performance enhancing.
I got kind of like a cortisone shot to like in Varsity Blues to so you guys play to the pain kind of thing. I got what you're saying.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like
I got what you're saying.
If Coach Dickhead gave Billy Bob a gummy instead of shooting a thing in his ass.
I got you. All right, let's see.
he just had to say ass. He's been
He
dying.
did, and he said piss twice. Pop a piss test. Can't.
You can say that. Come on.
Yeah, you can say that.
All right. Yeah. Anyway, any I guess final thoughts on that, Aaron? You're just she knew the rules guy. Deal with it.
I don't know, man. I got nothing.
Caddy, anything else?
No, we're just a whole bunch of rule followers over here.
Apparently.
I don't know what your problem is, Josh.
You two are not the people I knew 20 years ago.
You guys have changed, man.
You've changed, man. You've settled down some. But I get it. I understand. Like, my first thought is like, I think Jay got kicked out again. His face hasn't moved. There he is. There's Jay. His picture froze. Anyway, I understand the argument. She knew it was a rule. Everybody knows that you can't test positive for A, B, C, and D or whatever. She did it anyway because of her circumstances. But like, I just don't think that marijuana needs to be on the level of like. Steroids.
No, agreed. I'm with you. I think it's a stupid. I just think it's a stupid rule, but it is the rule.
Jay, you're breaking up, bro. That's a great face. This is
That's
going on
a-
YouTube, by the way.
That's a fantastic
This is going on.
man.
Screenshot.
That should be a thumbnail right there.
Yeah, this is what your whole podcast picture should look like. This is season 3 right here.
Yes, that's great. I will wait for Jay to come back, but luckily we have some time. We don't have to just end it. But
I think ratings have skyrocketed.
well, I'm of course
last
I'll
30
tag
seconds.
you guys again, and we have to make sure everyone focus in near the end of the show where Jay's screen froze. He's probably yelling right now. We can't hear him, but
Oh man.
yeah, the IOC man. They
Crooked
here he is. He's coming back in. Here he is.
Oh, boy.
Jay Ham. There you go. All right, go ahead, bro. Jay, you there?
Yep, I'm back.
Go ahead. You were saying before you got frozen?
Oh, I was probably saying, what the fuck is going on with this video? So, sorry. Here comes the first part.
Nope, there it was. He got his one in.
That's no problem. I don't even know what were you saying.
No, what did we moved on to? Are we still on?
We were kind of waiting for you to come back. We were just saying.
We were kind of wrapped up on that.
Oh
this
yeah,
topic,
no.
but-
So I agree with you that any and all prohibition of marijuana in any form or fashion is ridiculous. Whether it be in sports, whether it be in society, let everybody do what they want, right? But when it's a rule and games and sports are governed by rules, you got to follow the rules.
Yeah, especially a high level. We're talking about like high level athletic competitions here.
Yep.
It is what it is.
Where are my boys that are like Rage Against the Machine and Fight the Power at? I mean, come on.
Too tired to fight the power.
Well,
I
yeah,
don't like this at all.
Yeah.
I don't like this. All right.
I mean, you got to think if for her, that's like
Yeah.
what she's been working for
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
You just think she could stay away from
I'm
this
like
competition.
60-40 on the rule side. I just like of that. To get pinched for that is just it's just mind blowing to me. Like there's so many more abuses far worse that just
gonna do something. Make it go in style.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're almost running out of time here, and we actually have enough time. Caddy asked me if we had time, we could talk about a certain topic, and I said, if we have time, sure, but we can't get all crazy over this because I just have a feeling. Something's on your mind there. All right, so I guess the other thing revolves around the Olympics, and with Simone Biles.
I gotta log out. Sorry.
Starting the competition in the Olympics, but then dropping out of several events, citing her mental health, but then came back in the end and won a bronze. I think it was a bronze.
She won a bronze, yeah.
Right. Caddy, you wanted to talk about it, so go ahead, bro. The floor is yours.
So I just don't love the trigger words mental health, mindfulness. There are people with mental health issues, and I'm all for them getting help and taking time off your job, whatever that is. I don't like it being used in that format, and again, here we are 4 or 5 days later, whatever it is. I guess she figured it all out, which is great. But to me, it was, she's not doing well and she quit. And at that point, it was a team event, not just an individual thing. So, it does bother me. And, she shouldn't be tarred and feathered in the streets, but she also shouldn't be called, the bravest of the brave and such a hero and this, that, and the other. I mean, it's somewhere in between.
Right.
So that's kind of my issue with it.
All right. Jay, would you like to respond?
Well, I mean, if she's having a mental health crisis, she ought to just drink heavily like the rest of us.
Oh God.
No, I agree with Mike. I think that it seems like a generational thing. A lot of white men in our generation have been criticized for this take on the Simone Biles thing, and all of us talking about grit and toughness and all that sort of thing and perseverance. Like, oh, who are you? Yeah, all right, whatever. But the mental health thing becomes this unassailable catch-all that you can hide behind whenever you don't want to have to push through something hard. And it is a generational thing. I do think there needs to be premium put on grit and toughness. And like Mike said, we shouldn't we shouldn't forget that Simone Biles has worked harder for this than most of us will ever work for anything in our lives, and that she is a great champion. She's won lots of gold medals for America. And it's not like we should, we shouldn't boo her when we see her in the streets. But at the same time, what we ought to celebrate is perseverance and grit and toughness and the people that are having a tough time and push through it. Now, the caveat I'll give, the part of what makes this even wilder to me, she had a legitimate reason to pull out of that competition. Well, I don't know what the twisties are, but it sounds like you could land on your neck and kill yourself if you don't know up from down. So she should have just said that. She should have said, I'm having this issue, whatever equilibrium thing that has always worked for me is not working for me. And so I can't do these dangerous, life-threatening things that I can typically do. And that even highlights more how the mental health thing is used as this sort of just like catch-all excuse. And like Mike said, people do have mental health crises and they should be taken seriously. And when you say that your lack of perseverance means that you need to go take care of your mental health, you actually devalue the seriousness of that situation when somebody is really having an issue. I've quit. I'm not I'm not Rocky Balboa. I have quit before. I'm guilty of it too. But I just think that at a high level, what we ought to celebrate in America are the people who face adversity and push through it, and not the ones that quit.
We've all quit. That's the difference between us and Simone Biles, right? I mean, that's the difference.
Right.
I quit gymnastics.
We all quit.
Long time.
Yeah.
Aaron, what are your thoughts, if you have any? You don't have to.
I'm not about to jump in on this
All
one.
right. I guess I would say
this is the one when I'm running for
Right.
city council. This video is gonna.
Aaron's got to be.
Right.
Aaron's got to be on next week, so he's.
No. And actually, no. The reason Aaron's not jumping in on this one is this is one that I don't have a firm opinion on. Yeah. I've given it a lot of thought, and I don't know where I stand on it, and so this is just like one where I'm just like, I got nothing to add to this one because I'm not really sure how I feel about it.
Right. We're running out of time. I'll give you what I think about it. I think I think being an athlete should encompass, it obviously is the physical prowess and your ability, but also you need to work on your mental game. And I'm not saying that she threw out mental health as an excuse, because there's always a fear of somebody using it, which dilutes the process. Like Jay said, it could, like the person who really does have these issues, or it's like the boy who cried wolf. Are we really going to believe him? I don't want that to happen. I'm not saying she did it. On the other hand, the whole, I totally get the perseverance thing because we're white male Americans and we, watch all these males push through, but at what cost? If she had gone through because of the pressure of performing and broke her leg, what would we have said? Oh man, maybe she shouldn't have performed. We feel horrible. Would we really feel that way? But we're like, yeah, she needs to do it for her country at the cost of, if you land wrong doing some of these gymnastic routines, you're toast. Or we could transfer that to football. Like in our college movie Varsity Blues, when Billy Bob pushed through with his concussion, about killed him. For the love of the game, we got to persevere. So we have to think of, if something goes wrong in whatever particular sport, what's the outcome going to be? Because this person could lose their career and they might not be able to make money on that NIL. You know what I'm saying?
A great real world example of that is Carrie Strug, who was hurt and did the vault and did hurt herself and was a national hero. Now, I guess you could go and ask her. Maybe we should have her on next week. And you could ask her, would you go back and do it again? But it's totally.
Or she would say yes, and then she could have. But if she hadn't broke her leg, she could have been performing in more. But that conscience, that coach, that pressure from the USA, we got to do it. We got to win. I understand it, but you don't have to live that person's life. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So I just don't want anyone to use mental health as the catch-all, like Hattie was saying. I'm afraid I'm gonna fail, so it's mental health. I don't want that to be a thing. I hope it doesn't become a thing.
Sure.
But
I think it's gonna become a thing.
It could, but I think Jay said,
and not just in sports, in anything.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, just I think people would have responded better if she had said, "Hey, I got the twisties and my head's all jacked up. My balance doesn't feel right or whatever, and I can't go through with this routine because I could kill myself." I think people have been more responsive to that. That's fine, whatever.
And I could see in a position where sometimes you get so deep into something that you don't feel like you can say that. And in hindsight, it's I should have just said that, right? If she might have felt like she was being more of an excuse maker if she said that than if she just said the catch-all mental health thing.
Right.
I can only imagine that that's where that came from, right? Because she did have a diagnosable, well-understood problem that these athletes go through, and she just didn't cite it for whatever reason. So something was going on there.
All right, boys, we're out of time. I really appreciate you guys coming on. I've had a lot of fun with it, and maybe you guys can come on next time, one at a time. I know weaseling their way in anymore. All right, you guys can keep the show on YouTube or Google Podcasts or iTunes Podcasts in the About section or whatever. But catch us next week. Actually, later this week, episode 2 of Premiere. But thanks, guys, for coming again, and we'll see y'all later.